Hi, for this quick answer, let's tackle something that's divided Christians for a long time, and sometimes it gets a little heated. And that's the issue of the different positions that Christians hold when it comes to creation. So I'm stepping into some deep waters here, so we're going to go quickly over it. I've got obviously a more extended audio and visual that you can take a look at sometime if you'd like more in-depth reporting, but I'm just staying out of the conflict at this point. I just want to illustrate that there are several positions. These are what positions that sincere Christians can take. This is not a case of somebody's a Christian and somebody's a heretic for this position. These are good, sincere Christians that differ on these issues, but they're within the pale when it comes to Christianity. So here's one. This is one that's been gaining popularity and it's being taught at Christian schools now. Not all, but some Christian schools. It's called theistic evolution. And you can hear in those two words, the idea is that there is a God behind it all, but he's using evolution as his method of producing life here on earth. I think it's got some theological and scientific and philosophical problems, but that's just me. There are books out, and you can take a look. Key proponent of this is Francis Collins, who is the head of the Human Genome Project. If you look at BioLogos, you can find out more information about the theistic evolution perspective. Here's a second one. It's called the Young Earth position. And the idea is that God created in consecutive days, 24-hour days, to create the world that's here. And the world is much younger than science is telling us. The universe is much younger than science is telling us. And something like the Institute for Creation Research might be someplace for you to go to. Duane Gish, Ken Ham, the Morris family are ones that promote this view. Been very popular here in our area of Southern California. A third belief is called Old Earth, and you can tell from that just the opposite of the Young Earth position. And these are people who believe the universe really is as old and the Earth really is as old as science tells us, but they don't believe in evolution because they say evolution can't produce new information, that God has to step in periodically and create new life forms along the way. So Hugh Ross is the primary proponent for this perspective. You can go to reasons.org and find out more about him. His organization is called Reasons to Believe. Then there's something that is called the analogic, and it says don't worry about dating and how long it took and things like that. That is simply a way for God to break things down into a 7, 6, and 1, 7 category, to be an analogy like our work week. You know, we work 6 days, we're off 1 day. And so it's just the ratio of 6 to 1. It's an analogy that's being created. So the length of time, they don't make a big deal about it. Okay, a last one that is, I say last one, there are others, but another one that's pretty popular is called the framework theory, that says it's all done as a figure of speech, that God creates 3 areas and then he inhabits those 3 areas with whatever is the proper life to belong in that. And that's an interesting idea, very different. Again, it doesn't depend on history and science and things like that. It says it's a literary construction in Genesis. And in fact, if you look at Genesis, it does look pretty poetic, doesn't it? Now, there are different positions beyond this, and some of these actually have different divisions within them. So my point is that this is something that Christians do disagree on, but we're all Christians. We need to offer a lot of grace to each other if we differ on this. I think the main thing is we need to teach our kids these different views. If they go to school, for example, with one view that clashes with science, they will get hooted out of the classroom and they may not trust Christians anymore and say, well, you're contradicting science and I trust my teacher and things like that. So we ought to let them know that there are disagreements within the Christian realm. Nothing wrong with that. And that we need to know that the main thing is we do not think evolution works. And I've got to talk on that as a separate issue.